fifth grade. It's so great to see you guys again via the live chat yesterday. This is Tuesday's social science, social studies lesson. So yesterday we did our live stream and I loved seeing you guys again. I love being able to be teaching again with you guys. And I miss y'all so much, so much. For those of you who picked up your books and stuff, like with your parents on Thursday, it was so good to see you guys again. We're gonna jump right in though. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the scientific method. We're gonna put that to the side a little bit. It's just an intro into what we'll be doing with our science project later on. That's gonna look a little bit different since we're online now, but we'll get to that later. So as you can see in our packet, we're gonna be talking about explorers for the next 3 days. Today on this video, I'm gonna talk about 3. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about 3 on our live stream. So the 3 that we're talking about today is Christopher Columbus, Juan Ponce de Leon, and Christopher Newport. On your skit that you need to read, you do still need to read it even though I'm talking about it here too. It's going to talk about Jacques Cartier. It looks like Jacques Cartier because it's French, but it's Jacques Cartier. On your assignment, you do not have to write anything down about him, just the 3 that we talk about in this video. But you still do need to read the skit because it's still information that you need to know for your tests and quizzes and such. Okay? So let's jump right in. Christopher Columbus is the first one we're going to talk about. A lot of you already know who that is and what he did, but we're still going to talk about it. So Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. He is originally from Italy, way over there in Europe. And so when he decided to go explore, he was trying to find a western route to Asia. When they were going to Asia to trade with Asians, at that point, they either had to go through all these other territories that were owned by people that they might have to fight, etc., or they would have to sail all the way around the tip of Africa, the bottom tip of Africa, just to get over there. So at the time, they didn't really know much about this area towards the Atlantic. They didn't really know that all of this land down here was here. They weren't really sure. So Christopher Columbus thought to himself, he was like, hey, if I go west, I can just hit the Atlantic, find a way through the Atlantic, and I'll be at China. It was good in theory, but not in reality because we have the Americas here. And so when he went to go travel, a lot of people turned him down. They're like, we're not going to sponsor you. We're not going to give you money or ships or anything else like that for this adventure. And then Spain, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella said, you know what? We'll give you the ships. We'll give you the money. You can try to find this route for us. So in 1492, he set sail across the Atlantic Ocean. However, as we just said, the Americas are here. And he ended up near the Bahamas. All right? He ended up way down here near the Bahamas. It's part of the Americas. It's an island of the Americas. But when he got there, he did not realize that he wasn't in India or where he wanted to be. He thought he was in India, that he had landed there. And a couple of other times, he's gone to other islands within the Caribbean, thinking that they might be China or they might be Japan, things like that. But he really ended up voyaging around the islands of the Americas a few times. And this really opened up the age of exploration, which is a time within the history of the world from like the 1500s and 1600s where more people were exploring. And it really opened up the exploration to the Americas. All right, so now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about Juan Ponce de Leon. You guys might also recognize that name because of the fact that he was the first person to really find Florida from European countries. People already lived here, but he was the first one to quote unquote find it. And so he's from Spain and he was born in 1460. He's in Spain, which we talked about earlier, it's right over there. In 1508 to 1509, he did set voyage via Spain and he came down to Puerto Rico, which is over here. Tiny little island right over there. And so he stayed there for a few years. He became governor. He was part of the government there and everything like that. And so after that, and he formed settlements in San Juan, which is still an establishment in Puerto Rico. And so later in 1513, so in 1508 and 1509, he went to Puerto Rico. 4 years later, he'd set travel and he ended up in Florida. We're over here on the map. Sorry, it looks so messy. But he ended up in Florida. And he actually ended up making a second expedition after he went back to Puerto Rico and back to Spain and things like that. He made a second expedition back to Florida in 1521. So what you really need to know about Juan Ponce de Leon is that he went from Spain in 1508 and 1509. He went and was in Puerto Rico. And then in both 1513 and 1521, he ended up voyaging to Florida. And he was part of a major factor of how St. Augustine got founded, and obviously the rest of Florida being explored. All right, and then finally we're going to talk about Christopher Newport. Christopher Newport is English. He's from England, and so he used English money and English ships and everything. He had English sponsorship as well. So England is over here. And then he ended up all the way near Virginia-ish in Jamestown. So not Virginia-ish, in Virginia, at what was known as Jamestown. So he also was looking for a Western trade route to Asia. Pardon me. And so when he went over, he was looking for a Western trade route, and he ended up hitting the Americas as well. This was all in 1606 and 1607. So he landed in 1607, and he started the settlement with Jamestown and was part of that settlement. And then he made 5 trips back and forth from England and Jamestown throughout his lifetime. Okay, so those are the 3 that you're focusing on today, that you're focusing on in your worksheet. But please make sure you still read that skit, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. All right, bye.